Hundreds welcomed the body of late Goilala MP Daniel Mona 3 weeks after his death. The Catholic Church launches its child protection policy. Academics say the government is not doing enough to protect languages.
This is National MTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
Good evening and welcome to Tuesday's news. The body of the late Goilala MP Daniel Mona arrived this morning from the Philippines. The body was welcomed by hundreds this morning at the Jackson's International Airport. The MP died 3 weeks ago in Manila after a long illness.
As early as 4 a.m. this morning, hundreds gathered at the Jackson's International Airport to receive the body of the late Goilala MP Daniel Mona. The casket arrived 3 hours later. Accompanying the body were the family of the late MP, including his 2 children. Kairuku Heri MP Pito Iso Aimo, who flew to Philippines, also accompanied his fallen colleague back home. His term in Parliament as MP for the Goilala people of Central Province has seen the member actively delivering much-needed services to his people, just like his father Louis Mona, who was the first MP for Goilala. He was active in last year's rollout of the tuition fee-free policy for the Central Province, which was first launched at Tapini in Goilala. After falling ill late last year, he was taken to Philippines. He died earlier this month in a hospital in Manila. His people mourning during his arrival described the huge loss for the Goilala people, Central Province, and the country. His funeral will be held this week. Stanley Ove Jr., National MTV News.
Classes at Butuka Elementary in the Moresby South electorate remain suspended for 3 weeks. This follows a notice from NCDC Health condemning the elementary school for not having proper toilets and not having proper classrooms. The school has been forced to construct a pit toilet as a temporary relief measure.
When we arrived at Butuka Elementary School, volunteers were busy digging at the spot where the pit toilets will be located. The school ground was empty with only a handful of teachers on site. This is a temporary measure taken by the school while awaiting assistance from Moresby South Electorate Office and Motu Koitabu Office, which they are currently in talks with.
The parents are cooperating, so we are trying to put a temporary measure first and put up pit toilets, 2 or 3 pit toilets by the end of this week, Friday, so that they can come back and inspect it again, and then so that our kids can come back next week.
Both elementary and primary students share one common toilet block. However, last year, the male toilet was destroyed by students, forcing the school administration to lock it up.
And inside when you go in, it's very bad. That's how the toilet has been locked since last year, September, October.
With only the female toilet open for use, students have resorted to using the nearby bushes or at the back of classrooms to relieve themselves. Apart from toilet problems, the elementary school is overcrowded due to the free education policy that has seen increased number of students. Although NCDC Health has condemned the school for having no desks and allowing students to sit on dusty floors, the elementary school is forced to have students sit on the floor as there is not enough space.
We don't have enough classrooms for the children to learn. There are about 4 buildings here where we made a petition, but then we are still doubling classes. If 2 classes can stay in 1 building and they're sitting on the floor with nothing on the floor, very dusty and filthy for the children to learn inside.
All these issues have caused the school to be suspended for 3 weeks. However, once the pit toilets are completed by Friday, classes should resume next week. But one thing that is for sure, the elementary school is in dire need of immediate intervention and assistance. Bridget Komatep, National MTV News.
The Catholic Church today launched its first child protection policy in the country. The policy ensures the Church's commitment to safeguard the well-being of children under its care and will complement the national government's Look Out in Piccaninny Act.
Complementing the national government's Look Out in Piccaninny Act, which will be reviewed in Parliament, the Catholic Church of Papua New Guinea and Solomon Islands launched its first child protection policy this morning. The policy was developed to create more responsibilities amongst the different dioceses, congregation and parishes of the Catholic Church when dealing with youths and young children. It was also created to make more awareness on child protection and the various forms of child abuse. Moreover, the policy will provide standards to establish a safe environment for children.
It's a general framework. It's only a general framework that requires other agencies and institutions of the Church to develop their own policies to safeguard children's interests from abuse. And there are four main forms of abuse that policy addresses. It looks at sexual abuse, it looks at physical abuse, emotional abuse, and neglect.
Launching the policy at Bedwing Lahara School in Port Moresby, school principal Helen Herrington says the child protection policy must be implemented in other schools throughout the country. A week ago, the school launched its own child protection policy.
As a school, we've been able to implement our own child protection policy for this school. So I want to encourage all other schools and other institutions in the country. This is a time we really have to stand up for our little children and to ensure that they are protected because, even though this law has been out, we seem to be really ignoring the law.
Minister responsible for child welfare, Delilah Gore, says the government-church partnership continues to grow with initiatives like this. The minister called on other churches in the country to come up with their own policies on child welfare and other social needs.
Churches are also coming up with their own policies that can look after their own children in the church too. So I'm really excited that the Catholic Church is taking the lead in coming up with their own policies that can look after the Catholic children or other children that they can get them and look after them.
Stanley Oved Jr., National EMTV News.
Another group of eyewitnesses of the Gurako market confrontation speaking on anonymity claim that the youths at the village also shot at police on Saturday. It comes after Gurako villagers alleged that a woman was killed by a stray bullet fired by police at the roadside market on Saturday. Provincial Police Commander Goilala Ambane met with the villagers on Sunday and assured them that investigations will be carried out to establish the cause of death.
The group of eyewitnesses are part of a lay-based company that were transporting cargo up to Bulolo on Saturday. They say they were parked at the market when the confrontation between youths at Gurako village and the police happened. Two eyewitnesses from Gurako also confirmed on Saturday that there was a confrontation where shots were fired. According to the workers of that lay-based company that frequently transports cargo up the highway, who spoke on anonymity, they claim that shots were fired by youths and saw police personnel retreating for cover. This follows allegations made by the Gurako people that 50-year-old mother of 7 and several grandchildren, Gedisau Yanan, died of a stray bullet. Morobe Governor Kelinaru has called on swift action to be taken by police to investigate the incident.
PPC below me, one time all policeman below long investigating this case na me.
Provincial Police Commander Goilala Ambane also personally visited the village on Sunday to assure the people that investigations will be carried out to find out the cause of death. He also urged them to keep the Bulolo Highway open for public use. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Ley.
It's understood that a post-mortem will be carried out to reveal the cause of death of Gedisau Yanan. The Bulolo Highway remains open for public to use, while Bulolo MP Sam Basil was set to address the villagers this afternoon. Also in Mumeng today, Basil and Mumeng LLG President Okam Paton received a petition from the Zenek people asking for the surrendering of 8 suspects. They are wanted for the Kumalo incident where a man was chopped in the hands and 2 women were raped during attempts to cross the flooded river. Lae City Council workers in Lae are demanding the City Council management to pay their fortnightly payments after discovering last week's fortnight had not been processed. Their protests come after numerous delays over 2 years. Some raised concerns on what the Lae City Council management would do to do away with the continuous delay in their fortnights.
Lae City Council workers are demanding payments from their administration division after continuous delay in their wages. Kanumai Pipe is a frustrated worker with the Lae City Council who has been fighting the Lae City Council management since Friday over his delayed wages. He, with the rest of his team, staged a protest outside the Lae City Council office to push for administration staff responsible to pay up.
Resign. Council office.
These workers who keep the city clean have experienced delay for the past 2 years. Some say with the high cost of living today, they cannot continue to go back home with empty pockets that cannot fend for their families.
Money no sana good yet, or sit down yet. So if I get money too, picking to put a bag up, no take and angry, no, I said walking the Mihatu Kuru. The power of Kilo, Minusa, we can get money.
The whole of Lae City and its residents rely on Lae City Council workers for corporate, technical and community services. The Lae City Council management could not be reached for comments on the issue. Colin Barilai, National MTV News, Lae.
Among stories after the break, 2 UPNG academics critical of the government's efforts in protecting languages and cultures. Stay with us. Good to have you back with the news. There is not enough effort by the government to protect Papua New Guinean languages from becoming extinct. This concern was raised by 2 academics from the University of PNG. Drs. Sakarepe Kamene and Stephen Winduo say our government is not placing enough value and priority in protecting our languages and essentially our cultures.
Dr. Sakarepe Kamene is one of UPNG's long-serving academics. His speciality is linguistics. He says according to research by late Professor Otto Nekitel on indigenous PNG languages, the numbers show that 12 languages have already become extinct and those that remain do not look too good.
Half of 800 languages have less than 2,000 speakers. That again says a lot of things about statuses of languages in the country. That means half of them are being threatened.
In a nation known worldwide for our cultural diversity, Dr. Kamene says the death of languages is an extremely critical issue that needs to be addressed.
So language actually carries your identity. And also in language you find all kinds of information. The history is recorded in our language because it's not written.
Dr. Stephen Winduo currently heads the academic audit unit at the university and has been a long-time advocate of the protection of our cultures and languages.
That's the conversation we need to have, a national conversation.
He was referring to a feature that MTV did on a community in Medang province who fears the loss of their language and cultures. He says history has shown that people with little monetary or economic power who live in a multilingual society like PNG have an advantage over those who live in a monolingual society or one where only one language is spoken.
That those with power actually impose on those who don't have power. Most of our people probably don't have that kind of power, and maybe language is the only power that they have.
Drs. Winduo and Kamene both agree that the onslaughts of Western influence are a very real threat to the survival of our languages, especially the importance placed on the English language. Dr. Winduo says we need a language institute that trains Papua New Guineans who will work with communities to ensure the survival of our languages.
To make sure that there are activities that will enhance the language surviving.
Sarah Aupong, National MTV News.
East Sepik tertiary students have expressed concerns about the delay of subsidy payments by the Sepik provincial government for the 2015 academic year. Students have demanded the provincial government to fast-track the subsidy payments which were committed this year. MTV's Eric Harupma has more on this report.
East Sepik UPNG students gathered yesterday at UPNG to express sentiments about their school fee payment. Earlier this year, the East Sepik provincial government committed 2 million kina from its provincial support and improvement funds to subsidize students' school fees. However, after the provincial budget was passed last week, there is no official document specifying an amount for the subsidy payment. University student Elias Joromo said since independence, East Sepik provincial government has failed big time to invest and build human resource capacity.
Because lo current 4% increase lo fees blemi pla school fee. Now poama lo bin put down kirab lo baim school fee. For 40 years you mean looking on the service na development lo Papua New Guinea. I mean lo Sepik. So mi pla mangi this yeah mi pla decide long Sikkim support lo provincial government na sing out big pla ting lo sem building human resource blemi pla lo province.
Many students come from the rural areas are affected by this because they depended heavily on their parents for the wages sourced through the selling of local produce and commodities, especially cocoa. However, the cocoa pod bora is causing a decrease in production, thus parents are now faced with the challenges of raising their students' fees.
Petition that has already been submitted go lo provincial government mipla now la reaffirming petition lo tupla bipla points to all. Number 1, amosem mipla like him that this la guarantee letter mipla like him mosem grand chief must sign him guarantee letter within this time tamipla lo waiting parliament accounts national accounts lo open by Olba Summit team allocating money go lo province blo mipla like him mosem government provincial government must come up one time sila guarantee letter containing signature lo grand chief Sir Michael Somare na emi must declare him na assure him mipla sumatin one time papa mama ble mipla also provincial government blo yumi lo East Sepik this year 2015.
East Sepik provincial government has failed to initiate policies that can facilitate to help students' scholarship schemes. UPNG students are now appealing to the East Sepik provincial government to fast-track in processing their subsidy payment. A petition was delivered to East Sepik Governor Sir Michael Somare last week through Maprik MP John Simon with a 2 weeks ultimatum. Meanwhile, the East Sepik students are missing classes because of incomplete payments. Eric Harupma, National EMTV News.
A new breed of soldiers is expected to transform the image of the Papua New Guinea Defence Force. They will be trained under the new PNGDF Company of Excellence to be conducted at the Moan Barracks in Wewak and Tarama Barracks in Port Moresby. The program will be supported through Australia's Defence Cooperation Program.
The specialized infantry training has commenced under the new PNGDF Company of Excellence at Moyam Barracks, Wewak. 73 new soldiers of the Charlie Company's 2nd Royal Pacific Island Regiment will undergo this intense training. The initiative is expected to create a shift in the standard of the Papua New Guinea Defence Force with a highly trained, disciplined and well-equipped soldiers. Commander of the Papua New Guinea Defence Force, Brigadier General Gilbert Toropo, says it aims to increase the professionalism and capability of the PNGDF in line with the 2013 Defence White Paper. This training comes at a time when the image of the force has been tarnished due to ill-disciplined soldiers. Toropo believes this program will save the face of the Papua New Guinea Defence Force. Each company's training will be led by PNGDF officers and non-commissioned officers with mentor training teams from the Australian Army. The new Charlie Company soldiers will be trained to be M16 marksmen to master the use of Mag-58 machine guns, grenades and other high explosives. They will also be subjected to a strict barracks routine and trained to peak physical fitness. Lengthy field exercises in attacking and defending objectives as well as bush survival are included as part of the training. Similar trainings will commence soon for another 77 soldiers as Delta Company 1st Royal Pacific Islands Regiment at Tarama Barracks, Port Moresby. Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
Breastfeeding is an important reason why early childhood mortality in PNG is not so higher than it was before. Susu Mamas PNG supports the government initiative to encourage mothers to give exclusive breastfeeding to their children in their first 6 months. MTV's Vasinata Yama has more details on this report.
Susu Mamas provides free breastfeeding services to mothers with breastfeeding issues. They also provides voluntary counseling services, advise mothers on how to look after their newborn child, and provide health awareness to antenatal mothers and primary health care through outreach programs. However, Susu Mamas discourages mothers to bottle feed their babies. Newborn babies should be breastfed exclusively in the first 6 months and then start off with mashed pumpkin, banana, pawpaw, and must also breastfeed for 2 years.
And recently we put in VCP, family planning, and all the other stuff. So now we kind of have an increase in our attendance.
Susu Mamas has been in PNG for over 30 years, providing services as a non-governmental organization. In 2010, they came under the health department, supporting them in assisting clinics with their services. They are now working alongside the National Population Policy 2015 to 2024, which strongly encouraged the continued practice of breastfeeding. Mothers in Port Moresby who brought their children to Susu Mamas today were showered with KK Kingston diapers and sanitary supplies.
Roughly about 12,000 kina worth of nappies and about 5,000 kina worth of feminine hygiene products. We know Susu Mamas has had a very long history of doing excellent work in Papua New Guinea for the mothers and for the infants of this country. So we're very proud to be able to help out in this little way today.
Meanwhile, Susu Mamas encouraged mothers to visit the center, or if they cannot, they can call them on the toll-free number 7200-6262 to speak to the nursing officers. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News.
The Health Minister, Michael Malabag, said Wewak's Boram General Hospital will get special attention. The provincial hospital has been run down, with many of its infrastructure rendered as unsafe and unfit to use. The Health Minister was given a walkthrough at the hospital when he visited Wewak on Monday.
It's not always that the Health Minister visits Wewak more often. On Sunday, when he came, the people celebrated. It was his first time to visit Wewak since taking office as the Health Minister about 2 years ago. He came to officiate at the opening of 3 new health infrastructure in the Yanguru South electorate, and yesterday he chose the occasion for a walkthrough at the Wewak's rundown Boram General Hospital.
What's the normal average babies you deliver a day?
8 days. 8 babies.
Boram General Hospital is a hospital in crisis. Many of its buildings have been condemned but are still being used. Shortage of hospital staff is a chronic problem. Doctors and nurses have chosen not to work here because of no staff accommodation.
Numbers that we are having every morning, so people are just standing on the corridors and all that to be seen by the staff.
The Health Minister told the hospital board that he is taking Boram issue as a personal responsibility that he will bring to the attention of the Prime Minister.
So let me assure the people of ICP that the money will come, rehabilitation process will take place. We maintain the hospital over here whilst we are waiting for the new hospital that we now will start preparations. As long as we make clear indication of them, by make then we will start preparations almost immediately by working.
The rehabilitation work on the hospital will cost nearly 24 million kina. The government is also focusing on a relocation plan of the hospital. The hospital board, meanwhile, has asked for a fraud investigation into instances of misappropriation of hospital rehabilitation money, costing nearly 2 million kina.
They were never even present on site, and they claim to have fixed one of these for 1.3 million.
Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Wewak.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has spoken about the lack of foreign currency in Papua New Guinea. He said the government is working closely with the Central Bank of PNG. The Central Bank has implemented intervention measures to assist the government facilitate the completion of venues, as well as other demands surrounding the preparations of the Games.
There is no issue with foreign currency at the moment. We only take control of speculation of foreign currency. When speculators come and trade in terms of the margins in foreign currency, we lose out. We need stability in the foreign currency, so the government is working closely with Bank of Papua New Guinea in managing that.
Oil Search Limited has announced a record profit for the year 2014. The company today announced a net profit after tax of $353.2 million, or about 880 million kina. This is 72% higher than in 2013.
The successful commencement of LNG production and export from the PNG LNG project was highlighted as a major contributing factor to the overall financial performance of Oil Search. In fact, the company's strong result was driven by a near tripling of production following the commencement of LNG sales in May 2014. In addition, improved oil production from the company's existing Moran and Kutubu oil fields has ensured continued positive performance.
The financial highlights are strong. Production was obviously up significantly, 186% increase from the 6.7 million barrels of oil equivalent to 19.3 million barrels of oil equivalent from 2013 to 2014. That's an all-time record for the company, and it reflects obviously delivery of PNG LNG startup plus some solid performance from our existing oil fields.
Shareholders of Oil Search, which include the government of Papua New Guinea, will be pleased with Oil Search's 2014 full-year results, with the company also announcing a dividend payment of 14 US cents per share, 3.5 times higher than 2013 dividends. However, key challenges remain in 2015, not least the current downturn in world crude oil prices, which at present is trading at around the $50 per barrel mark. According to Oil Search Managing Director Peter Botten, the current downturn in world oil prices have forced the company to re-examine its operations to now focus on the company's high-returning core LNG growth projects. This is part of a 5-year plan, which includes the development of the Pinyang gas field as well as the Elk Antelope gas field in Gulf Province.
We also, as Chairman has said, purchased a significant interest in the Elk Antelope fields, and that obviously provides a very strong resource base to support another LNG development. And we're moving forward with appraisal of that resource and looking at how that resource can be tied in to a plant in PNG.
Meribatulo, National EMTV News.
And now we take a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3785 in the interbank market, and at Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.371, $0.4722 Australian dollars, $0.3236 euro, and 43.78 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and coffee closed lower, cocoa and copper closed higher, while palm oil, crude oil, and copper closed the day lower. And finally, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 24 points lower, the ASX closed at 19 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 18 points higher. And still to come on National EMTV News tonight, Namatanai in New Ireland establishes a 24-hour call center, and overseas, Islamic militants showcase more propaganda videos. Stay tuned. Good to have you back with National EMTV News. The Maritime District of Namatanai now has a 24-hour emergency disaster call center. A memorandum of agreement was signed between the Namatanai District Authority and a mobile phone service provider. Namatanai District is known for a high number of sea casualties due to bad weather conditions at sea.
Every year, about 10 people go missing at sea due to bad weather. The local MP and Mining Minister Byron Chen was pleased with the partnership between the telecommunications company. As a maritime province, the service will cover 90% of the electorate. This means the people can call for emergency when in times of distress out at sea. Acting District Administrator and former MTV journalist Robin Brown spoke highly of the initiative undertaken by the local MP. The service will also benefit the people of East New Britain who frequently visit New Ireland province, particularly Namatanai. Mr. Chan hopes that this service will reduce the number of casualties at sea during rough weather. Bridget Komatap, National EMTV News.
There is very little change in the lives of people living along the LNG corridor of the Hela province. Villages such as Nokombi in Como Station in the Como Magarima district are still struggling. It is hoped that the 15-kilometer access road being constructed will bring much-needed services to the people.
The construction phase of the LNG project promised a better lifestyle for the people living along the LNG corridor. However, the reality on the ground speaks for itself. There is very little change. People still live in bush material and semi-permanent houses. The once thriving station of Como during the construction phase has had its fair share of pride. Economic activities as seen at Nokombi are a glimpse of how people are making ends meet every day. Evelyn Curry is a local vendor from Nokombi village who shared her experience on the struggles faced by the women in the area. She says they want services, but they have seen very little of it. They had high expectations for the development of the Como airstrip, hoping it brings much needed services, but that has all disappeared.
So mibla lagi musem disla service go ya mibla lagi musem mibla lagi change must come up na mibla lagi disla service must go.
Recently, the Como Magarima district allocated 50 million kina to construct a 15-kilometer second access road from Nokombi to Tari. Though grateful for this development, the people of Nokombi hope it brings them relief through delivery of much-needed government services. Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
Turning overseas now, a top U.S. official has revealed that America's ability to track terrorists has been compromised by national security contractor Ed Snowden. This comes as ISIS militants showcase their brutality in new propaganda videos.
ISIS advertising its brutality once again. Parading captured Kurdish soldiers in cages, like the one where the captured Jordanian pilot met his death. Despite distributing propaganda publicly on social media, today the head of the NSA acknowledged new blind spots in tracking terrorists like ISIS as they've altered and concealed their communications in the wake of revelations by Edward Snowden.
I would say that it has had a material impact on our ability to generate insights as to what counterterrorism and what terrorist groups around the world are doing.
Do you have new blind spots that you didn't have prior to the revelation?
Have I lost capability that we had prior to the revelations? Yes.
How much does that concern you?
It concerns me a lot.
Still, ISIS has not pulled back its messaging on the web, releasing propaganda videos like this one showing an ISIS training camp for children. Wearing camouflage and ISIS bandanas, the terror group calls these kids their cubs. Admiral Rogers identified another clear and present danger to the U.S., cyber attacks with the capability to inflict significant damage on the homeland.
I think it's only a matter of time before we see destructive offensive actions taken against critical U.S. infrastructure.
Which states today are capable of carrying out such an attack like that?
We have talked about our concerns with China and what they're doing in cyber. Clearly, the Russians and others have capabilities. We're mindful of that.
Still, Admiral Rogers, who also heads the U.S. Military Cyber Command, admits that the U.S. capability to deter such a cyber attack and prevent further escalation remains, quote, immature, despite the growing threat.
We clearly are not, I think, where we need to be, where I think we want collectively to be. This is still the early stages of cyber in many ways. So we're going to have to work our way through this.
Asked if foreign intelligence agencies are monitoring U.S. cell phone networks, something that, of course, caused controversy when it was revealed that the NSA was carrying out such surveillance even in U.S. allies, Admiral Rogers made clear it is very likely as well. That sort of surveillance taking place by other countries here inside the U.S.
And our bulletin tonight continues with Trukai Sports. That's coming up next, and I'll give you all the details after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Well, SP Hunters will make their only appearance in Cairns this weekend against Northern Pride. This follows last weekend's match cancellations due to cyclonic conditions in southeast Queensland. Chief Executive Officer of the SP Hunters, Brad Tassel, said Cairns is one of the biggest support base of the Hunters, and the match scheduled for Friday 27th February will be a huge boost for PNG fans as well as the team as they gear up for the 2015 Intrust Super Cup. EMTV's Lorraine Genia has more on this report.
The SP Hunters were scheduled to play the Ipswich Jets in a trial match in Queensland over the weekend. However, the weather did not permit. This weekend, the team has another chance to prep themselves for the season ahead in their final trial match against the Sea Swift Northern Pride at Barlow Park in Cairns on Friday night. In round one of the 2014 Intrust Super Cup, the Hunters thrashed the Northern Pride. After finishing sixth in the final ladder, the SP Hunters are confident of returning to their form. Chief Executive Officer of the SP Hunters and the PNG National Rugby League, Brad Tassel, labelled the clash with the Northern Pride a real coup for his club. Cairns, being one of the Hunters' biggest fan bases, will provide the PNG-based team with the perfect atmosphere to perform. The SP Hunters' first match in the Intrust Super Cup for 2015 will be against East Tigers on the 8th of March. Lorraine Genia, National EMTV Sports.
And in cricket, the under-19 Garamuts suffered their first loss on campaign against Fiji in the 2015 East Asia Pacific Under-19 Trophy. Winning the toss and opting to bat first, the Garamuts left Fiji to chase down 133 runs after 36.5 overs. Fiji wrestled our batsmen, taking them all out after 31.4 overs and earning a 5-point win. The Garamuts will prepare for day 2 to maintain their track record for an 8th World Cup qualifier when they take on Samoa tomorrow. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill urges Team PNG athletes to perform to the best of their ability at the 2015 Pacific Games. The government has shown their support with the current infrastructure under construction, and he is encouraging athletes to do well in front of their home crowd. With the Games only 4 months away, the venues are on track to be ready before July.
4,000 athletes and officials are expected to participate in the Port Moresby Games. This will be the 3rd time the Games will be hosted on PNG soil. The government of Papua New Guinea have been a strong supporter of sport in the country, with incentives such as the Go for Gold funding, which provides support for athletes financially to achieve their sporting potential. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill today visited the Games Village, Sir John Guy Stadium and the Tarama Aquatic Centre, encouraged PNG athletes to do their best and make the country proud. With the facilities being upgraded to the best in the region for the Games, the government has done their part and Team PNG athletes should do the same.
We are building this for them, and I hope that they train hard and make our country proud. We are also investing in the Go for Gold program. We are also giving incentives in the medals winning for the athletes. So all these incentives are aimed at improving their performance.
All Team PNG sports are gearing up for the Pacific Games, working closely with the PNG Olympic Committee and the High Performance Training Center. With the Games only months away, PNG is preparing to host the largest sporting event in the Pacific, and the government wants the 2015 Pacific Games to be the best ever held. Dion Kombeng, National EMTV Sports.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill once and for all settled the concerns and speculations surrounding the completion on the construction of venues. O'Neill told the media at the Tarama Indoor and Aquatic Complex, "We should not underestimate Papua New Guineans and our capabilities to produce an event of this scale." Both O'Neill and Sports Minister Justin Chichenko assured the handover of the venues will be carried out on the 31st of May.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, accompanied by Sports Minister Justin Chichenko, toured the Pacific Games venues today. Chichenko assured that the Games Village, along with the other venues, would be prepared and ready for handover on the 31st of May.
Now it's March coming up, April, May, 3 months, we'll be ready. So do not underestimate Papua New Guinea. Papua New Guinea will deliver.
Given the time frame that the contractors have had to work with, Chichenko says the results speak for themselves. O'Neill's response to the critics on the slow progress of the Games facilities was rather encouraging. He said people should not compare the facilities to the other Pacific countries.
Don't listen to all the rubbish. Don't listen to. I'm fed up with listening about rubbish. I'm fed up with Papua New Guineans telling me that we can't do it. We can do it, so just believe in yourself. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Thank you.
Jeff Hall, project manager for Fletcher Morris, says the company has been working 7 days a week for over 20 months.
We aren't doing that to fail, I can tell you right now. Thank you.
The facilities, once completed, will leave a lasting legacy and contribute to the game's success. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill will officiate the opening of the Games on the 4th of July. Lorraine Genia, National EMTV Sports.
True Kai Sports continues after these short messages. Stay tuned.
True Kai Sports.
Welcome back to True Kai Sports. In the Port Moresby Basketball League, KSS Flames edged out Saints 80 points to 72 points. The match held last night saw Flames dominating possession throughout the game. Saints didn't let them get away easily, with the likes of Sibona Kala and Mika Loko keeping the scoreline tight. However, in the final quarter, KSS Flames secured the lead when brothers Apia and Purari Muri combined with their class-winning tactics until full time. Papua New Guinea's sensational sprinter Toya Whistle was part of the Queensland women's relay team. She took part in the relay as well as her specialised events of 100 and 200 metres. Whistle won the women's 100-metre race at the Adelaide Track Classic with a season's best of 11.66 seconds and placed second in the 200-metre with another season best of 24.02 seconds. MTV's Rafaela Bakikaore reports.
Sprint queen Toya Whistle last competed in Brisbane in the 100 metres open women's division, where she clocked 11.87 seconds. Whistle, based on the Gold Coast, is undergoing training with coach Sharon Hannon, along with two other sprinters, Betty Burua and Nelson Stone. Whistle competed in the Adelaide Track Classic and won the 100 metres with a season's best of 11.66 seconds, and in the 200 metres she ran another season's best time of 24.02 seconds and was placed second. After coming back from her minor hamstring injury, she has been full-on training at the Griffith University track and looking forward for the Classic Series Tour meets. This tour event brings together the best athletes in Australia to compete. Whistle will be competing in Canberra, Perth, Sydney and Melbourne in March 14, before reaching Melbourne Climax with the IAAF World Challenge on the 21st March. Whistle is expected to get invitations to compete in all these events following her strong performance in Adelaide. Rafaela Kaure, National EMTV Sports.
And in snooker, the 2015 Port Moresby Corporate Snooker Competition, which was originally set up to cue off this week, has now been postponed. Due to a slow response in registration and team preparations, the competition is now deferred to March. This should give team organisers ample time to pay registration fees and equip team members with uniforms. With an increase in expression of interest, 8 teams are expected to register in the A and C grades and 9 in B grade. The A grade division will key off the competition on Tuesday, the 10th of March. Laguna Hotel has now come on board to be the 4th host venue and will join the Aviat Club, Lamana Hotel and Dragon's Den. And that wraps up True Kai Sports tonight. The weather details for the next 24 hours when we come back. Stay with us.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
For tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, Port Moresby and Popondetta to look forward to light showers at times. In Mombasa, mostly fine expected in Madang, few showers at times in Vanimo and Wewak. In the New Guinea Islands, mostly fine expected in all centres. And lastly, in the Highlands region, afternoon showers developing and possible afternoon thunderstorms. Now, before we go, a quick recap of our top stories again tonight. Hundreds welcomed the body of late Goilala MP Daniel Mona 3 weeks after his death. Also, the Catholic Church launches its child protection policy, and academics say the government is not doing enough to protect languages. Well, that's been National EMTV News tonight. I'm Tokana Hasavi. Thanks heaps for your company. You take care and stay safe. Good night.